Musk has said that. The order itself doesn't say that. I think that's part of the confusion. Is he speaking for you when he says you'll be terminated?
Yeah, everybody speaks for me. I'm the one. I'll take responsibility.
This morning, new clarity and some confusion around the president's Department of Government Efficiency today. Now, although Elon Musk has been the face of the department, the White House says it's Amy Gleason, a staffer from the president's first term, who is the acting administrator of Doge. The president stressed she is in charge and not Musk. This comes a day after 21 career government staffers resigned from Doge, writing they refused to, quote, compromise core government systems, jeopardize Americans' sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services.
So all of this comes as calls for clarity are growing around an email asking federal employees what they did last week, and Elon Musk is doubling down. He says employees will get another chance to respond, but will be terminated if they don't. So now several federal agencies say they don't want their employees to answer, and a new lawsuit filed on behalf of federal employees is challenging the legality of that email.
So, do they have a case? I think a lot of people questioning this. Can they be let go for not responding? We have attorney Josh Kolsrud here this morning to talk about this. Thanks for being here, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of questions about this. Sure. Can federal employees be let go this way through an email?
Yeah, sure. So, let's talk about how this all started. So last week, President Trump challenged Elon Musk to be more aggressive. And Elon Musk responded by sending an email to all federal employees, directing them to email Doge 5 things that they had done the previous week. But in reality, what happened was Doge directed the agency heads, so like Kash Patel of the FBI, RFK Jr. for HHS, to delegate. He delegated the authority to them to determine whether or not they wanted the email directive to actually happen. So it's actually the agency heads that are going to be in charge of whether or not the employees actually have to respond. Now, the question is, if they don't respond and the agency heads said that they need to, can they be fired? The answer is complicated. So if you're on probation, and if you're a federal worker, you're either going to be on probation for 1 or 2 years. You really don't have very many due process rights. But once you get off probation, it is much more difficult to terminate a federal worker. And this all began in 1873 with the passing of the Pendleton Act with a merit-based system. And ever since then, Congress and through administrative acts have really enshrined due process rights for federal workers.
I know a lot of people are talking about whether or not they can be fired, but I'm just curious why they don't want to answer that question. I mean, the rest of us would if we were asked to do that.
Sure. So some agency heads, like Kash Patel of the FBI, have actually directed their employees not to respond to Elon Musk's directive. So, there are at least 20 or 30 agency heads. Each one has the responsibility of telling its employees whether to respond or not respond. Now, if an agency head tells the employees to respond and they refuse to do so, that may be cause for termination, especially for those employees that are on probation.
So it's going to vary department per department, and it's their head and what they decide to do and what they say. Really, that's the final word in this?
Exactly. So you hear a lot of people in the media talking about OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. Now, they don't have any authority to fire or terminate anybody. But what they do is they give directives, policy directives to the agency heads, like Kash Patel, and then he decides what he wants to do.
Where do you actually see this lawsuit going?
Well, unless somebody is actually terminated, I don't really see it going anywhere. Now, the question number one is going to be, was the employee on probation or not probation? And were due process rights followed? And you can see by prior examples of what the Trump administration needs to do. And you want to look at what Ronald Reagan did in 1981 when he terminated the air traffic controllers after they went on strike. Now, at the time, there was a lot of consternation that he did that, but he did follow proper procedures, due process rights, so it was ultimately led to be valid. So the judges looking at these lawsuits are going to make sure that the federal workers' due process rights are followed throughout the process.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Josh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
It's always interesting getting your take on things.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.